Hi guys, my name is Jules and I'm the dawdling writer. If you are here procrastinating, welcome. You are in good company. I wanted to show you what I did during some of Preptober, which was create my bullet journal spread for NaNoWriMo. I am going to be attempting NaNoWriMo this year. I think this is my 4th time trying, but I'm really determined, and I did quite a bit more planning this year than I have in past attempts. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this year will be the year that I win NaNoWriMo. So I wanted to show you kind of what my bullet journal looks like. I have penciled everything in already. As you can see, I started off by just wetting the paper with a regular paintbrush, just with water, and then I added some of the Tombow dual tip brush markers in the 555 blue. I initially thought it was going to be a little bit darker, but that's okay. It just gives it kind of like a pastel cloud look. But I did wind up, as you can see, saturating the paper a little bit more than I wanted to. But things happen. As Bob Ross says, there's no mistakes, just happy accidents. Then I grabbed the N65 gray Tombow pen in order to add a little bit more of a shadow sort of look, so it would have a little bit more variance. And then I also grabbed the 676 purple, which turned out quite pink by the time it was all watercolored out. Since the paper had gotten a little bit more saturated than I would like, before I could move on to adding regular ink to the paper, I needed to dry it a bit. So I just grabbed the hair dryer and used the cool setting rather than the hot. It took me a few minutes, but not too long. I grabbed a metallic gold marker and a little small ruler, and as you can see in just a second, I made an oops. So then I spent quite a bit of time sort of figuring out how I wanted to fix it. I ultimately, rather than a curve, went with just a box, thanks to the grid dots on the page. But I wanted to use this metallic marker to have that extra glint of something special for NaNoWriMo. And it also looks pretty cool, just sort of like the antique gold kind of goes with the typewriter steampunk look. Recently I've gotten into watching more of the Authortube videos on YouTube, so channels like Kate Kavanaugh's have been in her series of I tried writing like Stephen King for a day, and Haruka Murakami and Nora Roberts, and fascinating things like that, and talks about getting agents for publishing your book traditionally versus when you want to publish independently. What are the pros and cons of that from different Authortubers' points of view? So I thought I would try doing that. I'm still a little face camera shy, but I think that I'll be doing not necessarily vlogs, but I will be trying to do some videos in November to prove that I'm still working on my novel and make myself be held accountable. So it's part of my jumping in with 2 feet and trying to get things done, both the novel and sort of get over my fear of showing myself on camera, things like that. So I guess this might be counted as half bullet journal, half Authortube video. I'm not quite sure if it falls into both categories, but I'm gonna say it does, and so there we go. I just started using the Fudenosuke pens, and right here I'm using the hard brush rather than the soft brush. I am still terrible at learning the pressure requirements for brush lettering, and so I find that I put too much pressure on it, I guess because I'm used to pencils and pens that are normal, like ballpoint pens and whatnot. So I tend to be a little bit better with the hard brush than the soft brush. One of the things recommended by Preptober and NaNoWriMo is that you sort of write down the reason why you are doing NaNoWriMo, like why now, why choose to do it in this particular year, or why choose to make the step to make the concentrated effort to get your novel done at this point in your life. And as I've said, I've tried it several times before in, you know, university and jobs and whatnot, and it's always been sort of a half-hearted effort that I usually remember to start either November 1 or, let's be honest, like November 10. And so I've not really spent a whole lot of time really outlining what I wanted the story to do, the reason for writing it, just sort of always, you know, in my head wanted to be the writer, wanted to be the author. And I just have gotten sort of fed up with waiting for the right time, because the right time is never going to just show up and knock on your door and be like, hey, it's today. Time doesn't really do that, and life doesn't really do that for you. You have to make the concerted effort. And so that's sort of one of the reasons, one of the top reasons. Another one is just that, you know, I'm a severe overthinker, and anxiety builds up from overthinking and whatnot. And so, you know, I've in my head so many times imagined being rejected from publishing houses, and nobody wants to read my books and whatnot, but I haven't written the books. So it's kind of, it's the overthinking and anxiety that sort of have kept me from doing what I wanted to do, and I'm tired of having anxiety and my own brain tell me what I can't do, and I think it's about time that I try and see what I can actually do with my writing. I hope I'm not alone in that sort of struggle with the overthinking and anxiety and sort of creating your own mental traps. So let me know if you struggle with that too, and if this year is the year that you are trying NaNoWriMo, or if you're writing more short stories on your own, or what you're doing to try and counteract that mental trap that we tend to create for ourselves. The second page for my bullet journal is the non-word count goal and the why now page. So for the top part, the non-word count goal, it's just what do you want to accomplish within the 30 days of November with your writing project besides the word count. Are you editing a project? Are you doing a second draft? Are you creating your entire first new draft? Are you working on a set number of short stories to go into an anthology? What is your non-word count goal for the month? And so my goal is complete the entirety of the first draft of my new project. And then the why now, or the reasons that you should focus on why you're doing it now rather than last month, next year. So why this project at this point in time? So I listed my first why now as stop being afraid of something that I haven't done yet. And then it won't write itself, because it won't. If it just stays in my head, it's just, there's no escape from it, so it needs to come out. And then my third one is a little bit ironic because of the particular project I'm doing, but it's just somewhere, a place to start in my author career. And then I wrote something is better than nothing, which is the ironic part, because one of the questions that my protagonist is going to have to answer is, what are you willing to sacrifice to be normal? What are you willing to sacrifice to be special? Is that particular something really better than nothing? The next page in my bullet journal is my question of what is the story's purpose and what is the story's focus. And so I wanted this to be a YA, a young adult coming of age story. And there's an actual word for that. It's a Germanic word, and it's Bildungsroman. And it's a literary term meaning a novel that deals with the protagonist's formative years, their moral, spiritual, and psychological education and development. So I wanted to sort of put that as my focus for what is the story, what's the story's purpose. It's to watch this character grow up and develop in the particular society, watch them grow the morals and the ethics that they're going to need in order to complete being what they should be by the end of the story. And the third section on this page is the questions that I have for the protagonist to answer. And the first one that I have is, if morality is decided by the majority, are your individual ethics always wrong? So if you're one person standing against the crowd and the crowd determines what's right or wrong, are you always necessarily on the wrong side of that argument? And then, as I mentioned before, what are you willing to sacrifice to be normal or to be special? And then the third question, how do you develop and maintain your principles when your survival is in question? So these are the three questions that I'm going to keep in mind as my protagonist goes along his adventures. The following 2 pages, so it's a double page spread, are my writing music playlists, so the background music for different moods. So I have the emotional and sad sort of atmospheric music for maybe some of the tragic backstory and for some of the sad loss moments in the story. And then because I do have sort of like a magic is definitely going to be a key point in this because it is a fantasy story, but the young protagonist is going to be developing into what's going to be considered a black magician. But there's going to be some sort of secrets behind that, but because of that I am going to have some sort of like creepy, oh goodness, I can't talk today, atmospheric music. So I'm thinking maybe some Billie Eilish and some song tracks like Be Still My Tongue, which you can find on YouTube, things like that. And then of course I have to have the battle music, so things like Tommy Prophet, Two Steps from Hell, Nightwish. I'll also have sort of the more upbeat success and achievement music as well, and I may add to these as I go along, as I find that different things work for different moods. A lot of times though I tend to go for instrumental music rather than music with lyrics, because I find that lyrics sometimes can distract me. The next page is going to be the actual word count tracker for NaNoWriMo. So we have the graph, and then over on the right hand side I put my username, so if you want to add me, I'm the Dawdling Writer. And then I also put the rewards for each 10,000 words that we will be writing during NaNoWriMo. Now my understanding is that the majority of first drafts are probably actually around 80,000, but 50,000 to 80,000, somewhere in that range. So yeah, I might be writing more than the normal every day, but we'll try to strive for the 1,667 words. Plus, all of my rewards are actually food-based. Coffee, cookies, ice cream treats, and pumpkin pies, and dinner out, and all that. So I'm very much a foodie. How many of you would have food as your rewards? Let me know. What's your favorite food reward? The next page we have are the log for the word sprints on the left, and the actual like monthly to-do log, which is pretty minimalistic. Normally I have sort of like a calendar layout with boxes, and then I have a weekly page for each week, but I figure since I'm going to be writing so much, I probably will not be doing as much other bullet journaling, so I'm again trying to focus mainly on the NaNoWriMo. So on the left hand side I've got the word sprint tables, and so the very leftmost box is 2 squares wide, and that's for the how many minutes the word sprint is, and then I've got the starting word count, the ending word count, and then what the difference is. So those are what the different columns are. And then I went back and I highlighted every other row with a darker gray. I tried to use the same gray that I used initially at the very front cover, but I wound up using a darker gray Tombow marker, which was the 553. It's more of a blue gray than a true gray. Then I started using the Sakura Micron Pigma, really fine liner that's like the 0.005, and just went over the dates and moon phases for the monthly log, and then I used the metallic gold marker that I've been using all along for the right ends. So around the area there are going to be some meetups on the regular all throughout November to go and have your writing sprints in person with some people. And then the following page are my inspirational quotes for writing habits or from writers for when I get stuck and I'm having a rough time. I have been warned that day 10 is one of the worst days, so I made sure that I wanted to have some inspiration for the days that are going to be a little hard to keep getting the plot points down. And then I do have a spread for my plot ideas that I have been jotting down, ideas for my character names, and I've split my characters for what their name is what character archetype they fall into and what their actual role is in the story, as well as a great sort of category for the character motivations, for the basic, the noble, the evil, and the fear. So sort of, you know, what motivates your characters, and to keep that in mind, so that they don't feel out of character when they choose to do particular actions. So that's a little great reminder and sort of quick flip to idea. The next double page spread are the 16 Myers-Briggs personality types. This is another way to sort of make sure that your characters feel a little bit more realistic, as if they are modeled after like typical personality types. On a more happy life note, I and my parents have moved to be a little bit closer to my brother and his family. I now have 3 little nephews, and they are adorable. And so we all packed up and moved about somewhere between an hour and 45 and 2 hours, to be closer to my brother and his wife and the boys. And so I'm now actually back in the same college town that I went to university for the first time. And so that's kind of an interesting but weird feeling, because I didn't have a car during university, the first 4 years of university. It's kind of interesting to see a different side of the university town, the college town, than what you see as a normal student just walking around campus, and where you can reach through the bus system or by friend's car. So this double page spread is the last pages that I've done for November, and it's my dump pages, my ideas and notes pages for the particular project that I will be doing. And so I do have a working name for this, and this is gravely mistaken. And so I may explain that in my NaNoWriMo either day or week 1. It's probably going to be more like week 1, because I still haven't figured out all this video and editing stuff, as you can probably tell by the really weird jump cuts and whatnot. But I'm trying, I'm learning. It'll get better as I go. So this is going to be a YA with a male protagonist, and he, I think, is going to be the next priest for the dark god, who's known as the god of death, but he also has a second aspect of the god of balance, whereas the god of light and flame has a second aspect of the god of war. So there's going to be a conflict between those two gods, and our particular protagonist is going to get wrapped up into that conflict. Once again, my name is Jules, and I am the dawdling writer. I hope you have enjoyed procrastinating by watching this video, as I have drawn out all my bullet journal pages for the month of November with the lovely NaNoWriMo theme. I hope that you join me in writing something this November. It may not be on NaNoWriMo, but it could be. We can start it together. Please do feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know what your biggest stumbling block is when you are starting out a new project. Is it the fear of the blank page? Is it that ultimate overthought rejection at the publishing house even before you've started? Let me know what it is that stops you, and what ways you found to sort of overstep that and actually get going. Alright, well, I will leave this here, and I will see y'all later. Bye.